Dude, Luke, the printer's still busted. What the fuck, man?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 23 of the Topless Robot podcast. My name is Ryan.
I am Brooks.
I'm Tyler.
Dan.
I was waiting for you to introduce yourself. The order,
Yeah, it's...
I was thinking we'd do something different, like a zigzag instead of like all the way around. You know, I figured it'd be different.
No,
we could do it like the
need for different,
like the MST3K. Ryan, Brooks, Tyler, Dan.
Man, I just hiccuped and burped at the same time. I feel like I'm going to implode.
Hercupped.
You're disgusting.
Oh, God.
Speaking of disgusting things.
So it's been a really good week for nerdy shit, man.
I
Really
like
has.
this week.
No,
I didn't like this week. What am I saying? But the news has been good. The news has been great.
The Nintendo Direct on the 13th was full of awesome news, and if you want, you can go and watch that right now on the YouTube channel at youtube.com/toplessrobot or youtube.com/toplessrobot DOTCOM, because I totally know all of our things.
I'm not gonna. I'm
Not a
Thank you.
I'm not gonna
Thank
say
you.
too much about it because I want them to. I want you guys to go listen to this, but I'm gonna say some things that may or may not be true.
May or may not be true. You might lie.
I might lie.
You might lie to our audience.
How about two truths and a lie? Zelda, Fire Emblem, Mega Man Legends 3. One of these is a lie.
This is how we should promote.
The answer will not
One
surprise
of
you.
these things is not like the other.
This is how we should promote all of our other media.
Right?
Just two truths and a lie.
Two
about
truths and a lie. It's called clickbait.
And
You won't believe what happens next.
The Umbrella Academy launched on Netflix.
Yeah, I haven't watched that
started
yet.
it?
I started binging it. I'm on episode 7. The best way that I've come up to to describe it is it's like if Wes Anderson and Christopher Nolan got together to make an X-Men film.
I'm about that.
I'm down.
I backed the wrong horse on new shows to watch this week because like I was like I gotta watch something that just come out so I can talk about it, and I chose PEN15.
Oh, was that not good?
So officially,
PEN15 wasn't good.
I am undecided on it because I don't write off a show completely until I've seen 3 episodes of it.
Okay.
Gives you a chance for the pilot, the guest director, and where the show's going in the future.
Sure.
I watched the pilot. I don't really want to watch the other ones, but I'm going to just so that way my opinion is there, but it was really, really rough. The principal characters, the writers of the show, are playing their middle school selves,
Okay.
which is fine, but literally everyone else, the entire rest of the cast, they're all like real middle schoolers. So it's weird because it's like, look at these old people, and I can't tell if it's a gaffe or if they're just trying to like pass it off, because there's some parts where the makeup looks really good and it's like, yeah, okay, I'd buy that you might be a high schooler playing a middle schooler, and then there's a couple shots where it's like, oh, you've seen things, you are old. You are old. And it was just really cringy as far as the stuff that happened.
Yep.
Anything that has to do with middle school as a topic is going to be cringy.
It was, and I couldn't tell if it was just bad flashbacks or if it was just bad. So next week I'll have a more defined opinion on a better show like Umbrella Academy.
With Umbrella Academy, don't go into it wanting to watch a superhero series, because that's not what it is. It's not like hey, we've got these powers, look at us have these powers. It's, we were all adopted at birth by a fucked up rich guy, and because of that we all have really messed up daddy issues.
So it's like Final Fantasy syndrome.
Kinda, I suppose. Every character has except for one who was basically the favorite, has a
complicated relationship with their dad.
Okay.
And it's because he was all about like research, and that's why he adopted them.
Yes, fucked up scientist dad. I love it.
A typical neglectful scientists.
Basically. But he made a robot for them that they call Mom that took care of them.
I like this subtle and soft reboot of Smart House.
And
I was thinking it was the Jetsons, though.
and then there's just
Got Rosie over there.
a talking chimpanzee named Pogo,
I'm in.
who
100% in.
Is it bedtime
You
for
throw it,
Bonzo?
is kind of a caretaker, and nothing about him is ever. I mean, I haven't made it all the way through, but nothing about him is ever explained. Like, it's just a matter of fact that there is a talking chimpanzee in this house.
Maybe he's like double.
A wise old talking chimpanzee.
If you put a talking monkey into anything, I will most likely at least watch it just to give it a shot.
His secret
Okay.
move.
Because
evil
I
chimp.
love monkeys so much, and it's kind of hilarious.
We found Tyler's weakness.
Let's keep your sex life off the podcast.
Also,
shall we?
chimpanzees are apes. They're not.
I never
monkeys.
said I'm spanking them.
There's a difference, actually.
And
I understand.
so I have one point of frustration with this where,
Okay.
so like their powers are, one of them says, I heard a rumor that, whatever, and it's true. So like she whispers, whatever she wants to someone like, I heard a rumor that, you shot this person, and then they immediately have to do what she says she heard a rumor about.
Okay, so it's some like white Queen X-Men stuff. With a twist.
One is a just super strong man. One can throw things and can like completely control them in the air. So he has a ton of blades and stuff, and he can throw them and basically steer them.
Oh, yes.
Edgelord.
Psionics.
His name is
And-
Edgelord.
One can talk to the dead.
Ooh, I like that.
And, well, I like him specifically because, first off, he's the crazy weirdo from Misfits. And secondly, he is a junkie in this series, which is perfect for the type of character that this actor usually plays. He usually plays a, super fucked up, trashy junkie, kind of guy. But the reason that he's a junkie is to silence the dead.
Ooh, see, I love this concept.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because
That's
this
cool.
This is actually a central theme in some of the World of Darkness stuff that I've done.
Yeah.
There's a book called Geist the Sin Eaters, and you die and you make a bargain with something called a Geist, which is a ghost that's devolved so much that it's no longer resembling a human. It's
Okay.
more of a concept of death. And the moment that happens, you can see ghosts. You can't stop seeing them. And ghosts can also know that you see them all the time.
Sure.
And because you have that, they constantly berate you and they scream and bemoan because they're solely motivated by that thing that they want to resolve.
Yeah.
And I love that concept because that's a big thing. Like people in that game start killing ghosts just to make them stop, or they get to start taking drugs.
Yeah.
Anything to stop the screaming pretty
Yeah.
much. It's fun. I like that.
But I
Do you know
really
what
like
kind
that
of junkie?
concept of broken.
Was it like heroin?
Pretty much
or?
anything.
Oh, okay.
Literally anything.
Whatever
has to
stops the
be-
voices.
He has to be under the influence of something at any given point in time, and the only way that he can willingly conjure someone is if he's sober. And he has a very tough time being sober.
There will possibly, because I haven't seen this, so I'm speculating. So let me know if I'm right. But I'm sensing that there's an episode either that already exists or is coming up where he's like stuck in an elevator or a box or something and gets to that point.
Kind of,
Okay.
but not quite. Not that sitcom-y.
Perfect.
And
It's on Netflix, right?
yes, it is on Netflix. One of them has been missing for 16 years, and he can teleport. And another one is dead. And we see his power when in a flashback as a child. Behind closed doors, we see the silhouette of his power. We don't actually know what it is. But from the silhouette, you basically just see like fucking shadows of tentacles everywhere and like he's this little kid and they're stopping a bank robbery and he's like doing it basically like, do I have to? And they're like, just go take care of him. And he's like, okay. And he goes in and you just see the silhouette of like tentacles and shit, and he comes out covered in blood.
Oh, so he has hentai powers. Okay, got it.
But like,
or Cthulhu powers.
Or Cthulhu.
If you're not a pervert.
Or he's a Shimogorath cosplayer.
You know me, Dan.
but it's, it's one of those things where you don't like he's dead, so you're never going to see it again in the series.
Maybe. Except for the fact that there's somebody who can communicate with the dead.
Well, and
I'm sure there's a time traveler thing
Spoilers.
involved.
It very well might be that is the one dead person who is always actually at his side, who he's always talking to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Yeah.
But you don't necessarily see that power because he's dead.
You think being dead can stop magic, dude?
Well, we also
only makes
don't
it
know
stronger.
what kind of powers these are.
Sure. But again,
because the premise
in a show where superpowers exist,
2 words.
being dead is not a finality.
sure.
2 words
Especially
to consider.
when
But when your
character that's
superpower
talking to the
is
dead.
inherently physical and you no longer have your physical form.
That's what you think for now.
Hentai Revenant. Hentai Revenant.
No.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
But yeah, I don't think I've really given anything, away in that.
Overall, what'd you say?
You've only piqued my interest.
I have enjoyed it. Ellen Page is the only one that I haven't covered. Her character is the unremarkable one. So she was never included with the other 6. There were 7 who were, there were 40-something kids who were all born on the same day to parents, to women who were not pregnant the morning they had them. And so this eccentric billionaire goes out to try and adopt as many of them as he could, and he gets 7 of them. So to me, this premise tells me that there are others out there, and the only story
They're probably going to be the villains.
the only story that we've
Some.
gotten so far is of these 7, and they refer to them as 6 because there's the one Ellen Page who is unremarkable.
So is this?
So
Until we find out what her real superpower is.
she has latent abilities, or she's the April O'Neil to their turtles.
Yeah, right. But part of the thing is that she's never included, so she feels like super exiled from the family. Wrote a tell-all autobiography, biography about her life and shit like that.
Oh, cool. All right.
yeah.
Is it completely a brand new IP? It's not.
It is
not-
based on a comic that was created by Gerard Way.
That's
Who's a
right.
writer for the show,
Okay,
right?
That's right. That's right.
I don't know if he's a writer for the show or not. Overall, aesthetically, very Wes Anderson in a lot of places.
Is Bill Murray in it?
No.
Damn.
Tonally, it is very Christopher Nolan in that it's dark, but there's still some of that Wes Anderson whimsy in there.
Okay.
Cool.
kinda cool.
I will check this out this week and report back next week on my findings.
Yeah. Episodes are an hour long. I think there's probably something like 10 or 12 episodes. So I have thoroughly enjoyed it so far.
Perfect.
But,
I'll have to
Yeah,
give that a whirl.
I've been thoroughly preparing for Game of Thrones here in April, so doing my rewatch of all Forever seasons.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'm sorry, it may look like I'm looking at you and paying attention to you, but my eyes are just kind of glazing over and defocusing because you said Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I kind of lost interest as soon as you said Game of, and then I knew that it wasn't going to be life.
I'm not going to be quite as rude. I just haven't watched it.
You guys all suck.
I watched the first
I
three
just enjoy
seasons
there
and
being
then
real
just
magic in
didn't
my
care.
fantasy. That's what I'm saying.
There is real magic.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
that was the most dickish.
Okay.
Real magic but behind the scenes because they're too busy filming tits all the time.
Yeah.
Tits and weens.
Dragons, and then the Targaryens.
But there's no wizards.
there's
Everything can be improved with wizards.
Yeah.
there are priestesses that
Doesn't count.
there's definitely real magic.
But the priestesses
that's
are not
called-
performing magic.
and that's
They
also called
do
being
at
a
one
cleric,
point.
idiot.
Yeah.
They don't. They call upon their
Thieves
gods
can
to
use
perform
magic, you
for
know?
them.
That's called being a cleric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Priestesses do not perform magic.
I
Neither
I'm-
is cleric.
understand
I'm just giving
the
you.
intricacies
I'm just giving you
and the
shit.
differences between wizards and priestesses.
Really, it seems that you don't.
I think I've
Priest, I
think
do.
I've poked
I bet
this
Tyler doesn't know
bear.
how to use a 3 shells.
I bet you think wizards have to present their holy symbol to cast arcane spells, idiot.
Fool! They can wear that shit under their clothes.
Oh, we have poked the bear.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tyler. We love you. I mean, in all actuality,
All I wanted to do was to share my excitement for Game of Thrones because I like it.
Go ahead.
well,
With my
all I
best
want to do is have some fun.
We're not stopping you from doing that.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I'm not the only one.
Go ahead. You can talk about it.
No.
No.
Move on.
Yeah.
I see where I stand.
You can talk
Save
about
it for the rant, Tyler.
I've got a good rant now.
Now, in all actuality, though, I don't like Game of Thrones that much because, and it was overhyped for me, for sure. Most of the people that overhyped it were people that I knew historically weren't into fantasy or that kind of thing in the first place. And then so I have all this hype going behind it, and I watched the show, and I watched a couple of seasons of it, and it just didn't really grab me because I was like, well, I know that half of these characters die or don't actually matter anymore, and I think that maybe if it was better, I would enjoy it.
Bro, you gotta watch this. There's sex scenes in it. Whoa.
But I don't care
Yeah.
about the sex scenes, and I like the death of characters is kind of like part
Well,
of the drama, and it's one of the
I don't
shortcomings
like
of a
being
drama.
held emotionally hostage. You know what
But
I mean?
you're not really being held emotionally hostage if you've seen it, and like once
George
you get
R.R.
everything-
Martin
Also, you're not
stated that
really
he'll kill
being-
characters that you like if you don't leave them alone.
But also
He means that jokingly. He doesn't just do that because
You're not being held emotionally hostage because Sean Bean is an actor in it, and so you already know that one of the main characters is going to die.
this is one thing I do
saw
have
his
to
death.
defend. Dark fantasy, people die all the time.
Yeah.
That's an aspect of the genre. I don't necessarily think you're being held emotionally hostage. It's literally a style of writing and storytelling where people are expected to die and frequently.
And
that is a shortcoming of that kind of genre. Like where if you go into a genre knowing that a lot of characters are going to die, and you can't just like let it go and just enjoy the characters as they are, and just like, oh, I know this character is going to die, so why do I care? Like that can be like I can see that being a shortcoming.
Yeah,
in
it
some
kind of
ways.
ruined the suspense for me when it's just everyone just bleeding about, Game of Thrones. I don't have HBO. I haven't had cable in 10 years. At the time, you had to like watch it on the internet or something like that, and I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, in defense of the killing of characters, that's one thing that I like about it, because I like a show that can tell a story and you know that no character is invincible.
Exactly.
That's what I
Well,
love.
Nobody
I like
has that
that.
plot armor.
I like that, but I also like being taken surprised by it. I want to be Eris Gainsborough again.
But how
Sure,
much is
sure.
But how much? That's not Game of Thrones' fault as much as it is the popularization.
It's actually funny because he hasn't played through all of it.
I know, that's why I said it.
Yeah, it's
I
the
didn't
best.
even-
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm barely.
No, it's fine.
Even listening to you guys. At this point. I've stopped.
I only
Your
like
opinion.
hearing me talk about Game of Thrones. That's
Considering I
that's
couldn't even get started without everyone just immediately shutting it off. At this point,
But to be on track with that, this is the last season coming up, right?
yes, this is the last season coming.
Oh,
up,
that's
and
right.
it's, actually, interesting if you don't watch Game of Thrones. It's also going to be coming out well before the last book in the
Well,
series.
yeah, of course,
comes out.
because and it doesn't even fucking matter because as of 2 or 3 seasons ago, they deviated from the books. They stopped using the books as source
they're
material.
apparently going to go into the same spot. The Weiss and I forget the other guy's name, but they know the ending of the book, how it's supposed to of the series, and how it's supposed to end, like on George R. R. Martin's side, and basically were given free reign to kind of take their own path all the way to that ending. So it'll be interesting to see how those change.
Sure.
What the differences are. I'm enjoying it.
And you'll
'cause
only have to wait another decade before you get to hear George R. R. Martin's side of that.
I've already gone through this once before, and I know it is kind of super messed up for people to keep on yelling at George R. R. Martin. Don't die before you give us our book. That is like a super fucking messed up thing to say to somebody.
I don't think so.
He's old.
But
People
you also
die when
can't-
they're old.
You can't push the creative
People
process.
also die when they're too old.
I mean, like
Yes,
people.
yes,
people-
they do.
people could have, been yelling the same thing at Roger Zelazny over Chronicles of Amber. Like, it's when you're invested in a story, you want that story to be finished. And you want to hear the story the way it was intended to be told, before the creator,
Otherwise, it just hangs in your mind forever, and you never get to finish it.
Right.
You never get to put that away.
There will be a million fanfics that try and fill the gaps, and none of them will hit the mark. And that,
I would love for a company to take an existing property, like Game of Thrones,
and turn it into a Sonic fan fiction.
Well, I should say like
Sonic X Mega Man?
another Archie Comics already
It'll
did
be a
that,
furry
homie.
fic,
I don't
too.
know if you know that, but there was a Sonic Mega Man crossover in the Archie Comics universe.
Boy.
Yep,
Of course there was.
It was pretty bad. But Metal Sonic versus Mega Man was actually not terrible. Regardless, I wish that they would take the Game of Thrones hype, because to its credit, got a lot of people that weren't into the fantasy thing into fantasy.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's what popular TV does. It can take a concept and proliferate it. What I want them to do is I want them to take an existing book series that is finished, and that the author's not dragging his feet on. Because like there's a really famous quote, and I'm not ad-libbing, but paraphrasing here, a conversation between George R.R. Martin and Stephen King about like, I just don't know what to, I can't finish this book. You ever have that problem? He's like, no. No, I don't have that problem. And so like take something cool like written like some of the Ursula K. Le Guin stuff, or Anne McCaffrey, or something that has been firmly rooted in fantasy nerddom for an eternity, but it hasn't seen the light of day. Like something like the PEN novels or something like that.
That would be awesome.
Or
doing Wheel of Time.
Or the Belgariad. Yeah, exactly. And like they are doing Wheel of Time.
But I can't remember. Isn't the Wheel of Time thing more of a we own the license, we're just going to whip something together in order to maintain the license holding?
Yes.
There's a fun story about that.
Ooh, to tell. Let's talk shit about Robert Jordan.
So they're not anymore. Now there's an actual Wheel of Time series that has been picked up by Amazon.
But there was a Wheel of Time series that released, wasn't there? That
not a
went
series.
under the radar, or like
30-minute infomercial.
Yes,
late
that's right.
Night.
I remember that.
At 4 a.m, because the previous company, there was the company that won the rights to make a movie. Like their rights expired, like on this day, if they didn't have anything like a pilot or something. So without any knowledge of the Robert Jordan estate, like his wife and like any one of the copyright holders or anything, they slapdash this horrendous.
I remember that
adaptation
Horrendous.
of the prologue for the Eye of the World, the very first book. And it was Billy Zane was in it.
Yep.
The Phantom himself?
And it was god awful. And they just released it at 4 a.m.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
Oh, that's a shadow.
Oh, that's right. Not the
That's
Phantom.
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
The Phantom is look at my crotch, it's purple.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
But yeah, they released it at 4 a.m. in the morning. 4 a.m. in the morning. 4 in the morning. Hoping no
so
one
that
noticed.
was that bought time then?
Yo, show.
No, they just were like, no. This basically afterwards they were like, you didn't do this with our permission, and there was a quick legal battle that ended with that company losing the rights. They got the rights back.
What I mean, I don't mean to ask, did that buy them time? What I meant to ask was that airing bought time?
Yeah, it was bot time.
So they bought it like an infomercial,
Yep.
and in order to get it out there as broadcast,
And they were trying to make
and
it so
say, "Look, guys."
They were trying to make it so none of the fans knew, but like it was like some random dude on Reddit just was like searching through TV Guide. It was like, Wheel of Time, what the fuck?
You can try that all you want. You will never sneak it past everybody.
You will not.
It's not possible.
And that
Not today,
happened.
anyways.
That's not probable.
If
Not today, anyways.
Yeah.
It is available
ago,
on
maybe.
YouTube. You can find it. It's fucking bad and hilarious.
Yeah.
So
I remember
if you
that
like Wheel of
happening.
Time and you didn't know about this, you definitely need to watch it because it's worth 20 minutes.
Speaking of bad and fantasy this week, I watched a Studio Ghibli movie that I was not familiar with. I should say that I had not watched, but was based on the works of Ursula K. Le Guin. Called
Okay.
Tales of Earthsea. It was, I think it came out in 2006, and it was made by I know, right? That spooky wind.
It's like you said it, and then it's just like, whoo.
But it was directed by Miyazaki's son.
I remember you talking about this. Yeah.
And I was very excited to watch it this last week.
Not great.
It was the worst Ghibli movie that I'd seen.
Really?
It was.
That's unfortunate.
It sucked because it had such a great voice acting cast. Like Timothy Dalton was one of the main characters. Willem Dafoe played like this super fucked up, not specifically a sorcerer, but I think a sorcerer, some kind of like necromancer type thing.
Gonna shoot a fireball at you.
No. He spoke. Very
Not Christopher
quiet.
Walken.
I thought he
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Sorry. I thought I heard. I don't know why my brain definitely.
Willem Dafoe
heard
has a fine
Christopher
voice.
Walken.
You check yourself.
My bad.
He speaks.
My bad.
And to be fair, so does Christopher Walken. Has a perfectly fine voice.
Oh, they both. I
Sure.
love both of them. I don't know why my head went to. Sorry.
Please continue, Brooks.
He speaks very much like this, and that's Willem Dafoe like the entire movie.
Huh.
But it's creepy. It's unsettling. But my problem with the
Willem
movie,
Dafoe does unsettling.
the problem with the movie is
looks
that
unsettling.
there's so much stuff jam packed into this thing that they forget to explain some stuff.
Classic mistake.
For example, one of the principal characters ends up being a dragon.
Just out of nowhere.
They allude to dragons. So like the first 3 minutes of the movie, there is a dope ass dragon fight in the middle of the ocean where one of them rips the throat out of another one, and it's just like yes, and I was just like yes the entire time, and then as it gradually kind of, it's like they couldn't figure out what style of folk music they wanted to go with. There was like bagpipes and sitars and like a Mediterranean thing at the same time.
Okay.
It was like they had too many ideas and didn't filter it out and be like, okay,
Sure.
this is what we want. And it was just too choppy and not enough explanation, and it made me mad because the concept was so cool, but it just fell on its ass so hard.
That's unfortunate.
Cheech Marin's character was pretty good in it, though.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's definitely a bummer, but I get it.
That's like a lot of fantasy adaptations. That's what they fall short. Is there's too much and they fail to explain it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like you've had a disappointing week with things you've tried.
I mean,
You're 0 for 2 right now.
Not everyone's a winner. Look at me, I'm a winner.
It's definitely the most common pitfall from everybody I've known, just like in the tabletop scene. Even the best DMs I've played with, there's just always so much going on that every time you get attached to something, all of a sudden you get hit with the, wait, you made a big deal out of this.
I got
and then
detached
I
from
never
something
heard
for a
about it
second.
for the last 8 sessions. What happened to this? And he was like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. Writing is hard, guys. It's hard.
I haven't had to deal with that too much in the campaigns that I played in, but definitely like I've seen that where it's like, where did this whole thing go? Oh yeah, you guys didn't seem that interested in it, so I wrote it out. I'm like, no, sneak that shit up on us.
I told you that, and that is what I do.
Yeah.
If I have something planned and people ignore it, well, it's just gonna get more powerful as time goes by. You could do nothing about it.
I am
my
a huge fan of Chekhov's gun. You guys familiar with Chekhov's gun?
Yep.
I'm a huge fan of the shotgun on the mantle, where the most obvious thing that you guys just fucking walk by in the first session comes back to bite you in the ass. I love that shit.
Yes.
It's kind of like how in WarioWare 3 with the clown god that you're secretly gaining power for.
Sure.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry, Wario Land 3.
I kind of had. I was going to
okay.
say WarioWare is not. Does not. It,
Wario
is not
Land
plot
3 on
heavy.
the Game Boy Color, released in the year 2000.
In the year 2000.
That was the first Game Boy Color game that I owned.
The Wario Land series is outstanding.
Yes.
Moving on.
The
Mine was
God.
Pokemon
I
Yellow.
had a similar moment of disappointment at Dangling Threads when I saw Bad Times at the El Royale recently.
Oh.
No. I haven't seen that yet.
I mean, it's a thoroughly enjoyable film, but there are big questions left unanswered that I feel, usually, sure, don't spell everything out for us. That's fine. This isn't one of those cases. This is one of those, you seem to make a big deal out of this plot device and then you just ended it. like without doing anything with it. And then we're basically shifted in a completely different direction, as if to say, forget we ever did any of this.
No,
And it doesn't feel like a misdirection at all?
No.
Okay.
Now, I will say this about dangling threads. Sometimes I like it when some things are left unanswered. Like, did we watch The Guest together?
No.
No? Have you guys seen The Guest?
I don't think so.
Okay, so I forget who makes it. It's not really that important. But it's this thriller horror movie that kind of pokes fun at slashers a little bit, but it's mostly pretty serious. It's this guy gets out of the army and shows up at this guy's at this family's house, and says, "Hey, I knew your son who died in the war," and that's where it goes. But he's really like some kind of something else, and they intentionally lead you to believe some things, and then just don't talk about it. But but when done intentionally, it's great.
Sure.
Because there's one line in the middle of this fight at the end of the movie, and one of the characters is like, "What's going on? You got to tell me what's going on." And he's like, "It doesn't matter." Almost like turning to the camera, it's like, "It doesn't matter."
Okay. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Little
Well,
fourth
red
wall
herrings
breaking.
can be
Yeah.
a good
Sure.
narrative device.
But not like
if
a
they're
look at the
intentional.
camera and like wink. It's like a half. It's like a 3.5
Sure.
Okay.
wall break.
I can appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, when it's done well, it can certainly be a useful storytelling device. I like being surprised. I like twists when they're not M. Night Shyamalan twists.
What a twist.
Everyone else is dead except for me.
But when you start writing one story and then you like wake up one day to continue writing and you're in a different mood, and so you start writing the ending of a completely different story, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I agree. For sure.
This is why we need to give more credit to good writers.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Good writing is so hard to do.
Correct.
It's so hard. God.
Writing is hard and it's difficult.
Writing
And if you know anyone that writes and writes well, you should high five them and tell them that they're doing a good job.
Yes.
But don't high five them too hard, so then they can't. Use their hands.
Break them.
You
Their
might
pathetic
might-
artist hands.
you might flare up their carpal tunnel.
Yeah.
Okay, their hands just crumble to
Maybe
dust.
just pat, maybe,
only regret is that I have bonitis.
maybe just pat them on the head.
They just
Good job, champ. Way to go.
So in other news, this is either going to delight or piss off a lot of people. And
I wonder which camp I'll be in.
already know you're not going to care.
Oh, okay, cool.
Cool.
I
So there's
already
a third
know
choice. You have to give us 3 choices there.
Dan is a very special creature.
Dan is special.
He's a
Because Dan doesn't
mythical
give a
fleek
shit.
beast.
Dan doesn't give a shit about Ghostbusters.
True.
Oh my.
It has been revealed that the leads of the new Ghostbusters movie are going to be 12 and 13-year-olds.
So I'll see you guys later.
I'm not angry. I'm a little confused.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Ghostbusters is the ultimate business comedy ever.
And Jasmine, when I told her that, she said, okay, this is just people who saw the Stranger Things kids dressed up as Ghostbusters and thought that could make a good movie.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
I see.
I got my parents' Ghostbusting equipment and we're going on a spooky adventure.
It
So-
feels like a marketing gimmick.
One of them, from the casting description, one of them, the boy is like super into the paranormal and paranormal obsessed and stuff like that. The girl is like a book smart, nerd who's kind of alienated in school.
Is there a
and
fat
things
one
like
that's
that.
funny and a bully that joins their cause?
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Probably.
So think about it. It is an 80s property, and those 80s tropes are seeing it come back with Stranger Things, kind of reminding everyone how these 80s coming-of-age stories were great. 8mm did the same thing, not 5 years prior, 6 years prior. Or not 8mm, fuck. That's not what I was meaning to say
Super
at
8?
all. Super 8. 8mm is the fucking snuff film Nicolas Cage movie, which is not what I meant to talk about.
To be fair, when someone is talking about either one, I think about the other one as well.
Just because
but
numbers confuse you.
Real quick, you talk about the 80s tropes being put back in the spotlight with something like Stranger Things.
and
It's
shit
great,
like that.
but there's a distinct difference between Stranger Things, which has some levity but is overall more of a mysterious, serious property, and then you have Ghostbusters, which is
It's a comedy.
like a
It's a
fart
comedy.
joke comedy almost
Sure.
sometimes.
And if you're gonna have like, there's nothing wrong with making a movie about like kids doing the Ghostbusters thing. Why does it have to be Ghostbusters? Like,
Well,
Existing properties generate more revenue.
beyond
So-
brand recognition and ad revenue.
I have to remind everyone that it is Ivan Reitman's son who is at the helm of this project.
I don't care.
Ivan Reitman is the one who created the original Ghostbusters.
The sins of the father have
Jason Reitman.
Blood ties do not imply like talent.
No.
There have been
case in
plenty
point-
of
but-
disappointing
case in point, Max
children
Landis.
throughout
But
history.
fuck Max Landis. He's a rapist piece of shit.
Garbage.
Oh, he did some good stuff though.
Wow, no. Are you talking about Jason Reitman or Max Landis?
Oh no, Jason Reitman.
Okay. I was going to
Oh.
say, because I had just
Sorry.
got done.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was confused.
I'm going to say allegedly to save my own ass, but Max Landis did some terrible, terrible things to some people. And, yeah. Allegedly.
He looks like if Brody from Mallrats was more attractive.
Totally. Absolutely. He's Jason Lee plus. He's Jason Lee without Scientology. So to give you an idea of his
make
tonal
some
style, Juno, Thank You for Smoking,
Wait.
Up in the Air.
I think he was in that. Yeah, he's also an actor as well.
I don't believe so, no.
Oh, okay.
The only one of those I've seen is Juno. I didn't like it. So
Yeah, he's been in some shorts.
Okay.
And he was obviously in Ghostbusters 2 because it was Daddy's movie.
Brownstone boy number 2.
He was in Kindergarten Cop.
Oh, as the
That's
kissing
hilarious.
boy.
But yeah, so like honestly, I actually love most of the things that he's known for. I enjoyed Juno. I love Thank You for Smoking. Love Up in the Air.
Thank You for Smoking is great. Up in the Air, I didn't love, but
Up in the Air wasn't bad. I just wasn't really my thing.
yeah,
I also watched it like once, so I can't speak with authority on it.
I think I went in there hoping to like it a lot more than I ended up.
But basically, like if you look at these credits, he tends to do kitschy, socially awkward kind of, that kind of dynamic.
Which capturing that well is work. That's hard work.
Yeah, and he does it well.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily, mean to say that because he's Ivan Reitman's son, he's going to do Ghostbusters well in the same way that Ivan Reitman did Ghostbusters. I don't think that he's going to carry that same tone.
But he has an accomplished portfolio at the very least.
He has an
Yeah.
accomplished portfolio at the very least. It's certainly going to be tonally different, and we already definitely know that now that we know that the leads are going to be 12 and 13-year-old kids.
This
you know,
is supposed to be an actual sequel this time, right? It's not like
it is
the last
Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah,
Well, I could see how you could make that work and it'd be okay. But honestly, if they're gonna take it, if they want to do something with kids, an '80s property with kids, they could do a soft reboot / sequel to Monster Squad.
Oh, totally. Absolutely.
Yeah, because Wolfman's got nards.
Exactly. I was just going to say the same thing.
He do.
He do.
So yeah, it's a thing
I don't get why
that's
they wouldn't just do a
going to piss off the internet.
yeah.
Again.
What doesn't though? I don't care about things that piss off the internet. That's a meaningless term at this point.
I like to laugh at things that piss
there
off
are
the
so
internet
many people
sometimes.
who think that everything belongs exclusively to them and that it has to be tailor-made for them. Fuck those people. They're obnoxious.
I agree.
You don't own any of these properties just because you enjoyed them so much. That doesn't give you ownership over them.
I agree, but I do also personally still feel the sting of the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles movies and feel the sting of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
You can hate them, but it's a different thing to go on the internet and be like, "This is ridiculous. They should have done it the way I wanted them to do it. I'm the one who owns the property. The only thing that matters is what I care about."
Well,
Yeah.
I guess that
some things are just bad.
That kind of bleeds into our previous conversation about toxic fandom.
Yeah.
Because I get irritated, when something comes out that sucks, like Star Trek. And I'm mad. I'm like not mad, but I'm like kind of just like pissy about it. I'm like, no, fuck this new show. But I'm not gonna like harass the people that make
No,
it.
That's what I'm
certainly
saying.
not.
Are you
Certainly
mad
not.
about it, or are you going out of your way to be a dick to everybody about how mad you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And that's what sucks about people getting mad on the internet.
And then
Because they don't keep it to themselves.
Well, and it's one thing to express your distaste for a casting choice or a tonal direction of a property that you love. It's a totally other thing to hunt down other people's posts in support of it, to talk down to them about why they're wrong.
Yeah. Or, it's the difference between, I didn't like this guy in this movie, or posting to their Twitter like, I hated you in this movie.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
You should stop acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. Nobody cares about your opinion. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only fun to talk about with your chums.
Exactly. It's a
Or
conversation
on
piece.
a podcast when you.
Well, I mean, the people that listen to our podcast are our virtual chums, right?
This is true.
Yeah.
You're all our friends, and we all appreciate.
Virtual chums swimming around the bucket together.
And I mean, it's podcast format is, I don't know, supposed to be more like I always envision this just being transparent, bullshitting, about whatever. Like,
Oh no, this is completely a fabricated persona. In my spare time, I am actually a conjurer.
I was gonna say in your actual spare time, you're actually a very chery and happy, nice person.
It's ways into
Yeah,
jewelry because
absolutely.
power comes
And in
from
my
the
spare
things
time,
he
people
wears.
actually like me.
All of this anger and sadness it's completely fake, guys. I hate to lift the
I am
veil.
actually a CG construct that the guys at Topless Robot made up. So
Shit, I gotta re-render that.
when Brooks slows down to 40 frames per second, start tearing.
You know what? Thank God, because if we had to deal with you any more than this,
Oh man.
please cry.
I haven't written that animation yet.
Haven't coded the cry function yet.
No.
I am so happy at being insulted.
My father is the town baker.
And another interesting tidbit that has kind of come out is a Nintendo rumor.
Is Nintendo not making consoles anymore?
No, this one is far more reasonable. This one actually aligns with the prediction that I made.
Nintendo likes to hit puppies with wiffle ball bats.
Nintendo is bringing back Iwata from the grave
So
as a Mario construct.
Geno is a relevant property that will be used again.
I am going to
Rest in
say
peace.
this is coming from the Daily Star. Nintendo Switch 2 Mini.
Oh, hey, look at that. That's adorable.
Nintendo is heavily rumored to be preparing a Switch Mini or Switch Pro, and possibly targeting a 2019 release date.
Oh, that's cool.
So
big boy.
Yeah, I want the big chungus.
I want the big chungus as well. Japanese publication Nikkei reported at the end of January that Nintendo is likely bringing a cheaper, smaller Switch to the market sometime in the 2019 financial year, which means we're likely to see the updated console land between April 2019 and March 2020 if the rumor checks out. According to Nikkei, the updated version of the console will be portable and easy to carry around. Is this Nintendo's attempt at finally having the Switch move into the territory occupied more by the 3DS?
Which, if we're going to go back to your New Year's speculations, talking about how you thought they were going to drop 3DS support, they probably are.
Yeah.
This sounds more to me like
already seeing games, the releases for 3DS drop down in frequency.
Oh, yeah.
As far as the big price drop goes with all of their like expensive titles, like Majora's Mask this year is going to drop down to $20. They just did that.
I think
with
Majora's Mask is already at 20.
yeah.
They like just dropped it in like 1999.
Okay,
Did
sure.
1999.
Honestly, the thing that hammered
like-
it in for me the most is that with Fire Emblem being announced as a Switch property, which it's almost exclusively been a handheld game, aside from the GameCube and Wii releases.
Mm-hmm.
and the core Pokemon RPG titles that are
Yeah,
coming to the Switch
yep.
as
If
well.
those are coming out on the Switch, then why the fuck would they put them out on the 3DS anyway?
I-
And they're obviously not announcing a new handheld.
No,
Like the Switch already fills that role.
Yeah.
Honestly, this would be a nice if releasing the rumored mini, that would be a nice replacement because it's basically the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just has one screen instead of two. But
To me, this sounds more like what they've done with their last few consoles, where they have like the cheaper version,
which
like
doesn't have as many
Nintendo
features.
Where
doesn't
there
have
was
as
the
features, like-
Nintendo 2DS with the 3DS.
I don't think that's at least if the way this sounds, it doesn't sound like this is another sign of going away from the 3DS. They're definitely going to be doing that, but I don't think this doesn't sound like it'd be part of it.
I do think so, but
would
that's mostly
expect-
because of the way the games are being announced for the Switch
Yeah.
and not for the 3DS.
Like,
Yeah,
did
there
you
were
notice that
no-
not a single 3DS game was announced during that direct?
Oh, I know. I'm not saying that they're not doing that. I'm just saying, to me, the Nintendo Switch Mini doesn't sound like this is going to replace the 3DS. It's more
No.
like this is the cheaper version to get your kids this holiday season.
What does tell me is that, according to Nikkei, the updated version of the console will be, quote, portable and, quote, easy to carry around. Nintendo has never supported two simultaneous portables in the past.
That's true.
With a Virtual Boy.
That's
Virtual
not
Boy was
portable.
not a portable.
Anything that's portable, put your
closest they
mind to it.
closest they came was Game Boy Color and the original DMG. And even that, they just started making Game Boy Color games
Run DMG.
or games with Game Boy Color
Brooks.
support.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's a lazy Brooks.
Yeah, that was lazy.
And with I guess the 3DS and 2DS is the closest that they've come
that's the same
two
concept.
simultaneous portables, but it's the exact same thing.
And though it's irrelevant now, the actual design of the 2DS made me angry.
It looks like a tombstone.
Well, so they did make a 2DS that's a clamshell.
okay.
Jasmine has the 2DS that's a clamshell.
That I'm okay
because she
with.
doesn't like the 3D stuff.
I've only seen the one that's the one
flat,
big
yeah.
piece.
The wedge.
It looks like a child's toy, which I guess.
You have to use your
all
hands,
video
it's a
games are children's
baby's
toys,
toy.
whatever.
Yeah.
well, I could see them trying to design something like that because you don't have to worry about your kid breaking it in half. But why wouldn't you buy your child something that expensive and give it to them without telling them not to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Kids these days.
giving children when they're in that very young, destructive, age-sensitive technology is a dumb idea, no matter how destructible it is.
Yeah.
And yet, so many children have cell phones and iPads.
Yep.
I don't get it.
So,
And then they screech when you take it away from them.
If I
It's
ever
a
have
virtual
kids,
babysitter.
they'd be super miserable because they would have these things at a later age.
So another reason that they're aiming to do a Nintendo Switch Mini reportedly is to bring down the price of the console.
I'm okay with that.
The company said that they couldn't comment on their plans for the product, but has informed multiple suppliers and game development companies that they intend to release them as early as 2019. According to their affiliates, they are miniaturizing the console with portability and playing outdoors in mind, as well as cutting features to reduce the price and expand the user base.
And
So-
that's where I
so
hear Nintendo
those-
Wii Mini right there.
th-
Like,
those-
sounds like the exact.
Those Joy-Cons probably don't come off. If
Yeah.
it looks like that.
Yeah.
and you probably can't dock it. It's probably just.
Well, you might be able to dock it, but you'd have to buy a dock
Or
for your Totino's
or
pizza
like-
maker. Going back to our predictions.
God, I hope it's true.
So again, that comes from dailystar.co.uk. I don't know how reliable they are. They're citing. It says
Midnight
supports
Star.
full-size Joy-Cons according to the rumor, but it's a 5.5-inch display.
And you know what? Based on the way this article is written, it doesn't seem like it's going out of its way to generate too much buzz.
Yeah,
No.
it seems like a
it's
normal.
pretty matter of fact.
So
yeah, $1.99. That sounds like a plan.
and an updated dock, it looks like maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of speculation that I'm seeing here.
An updated dock would be nice because they did not put a ton of thought into the current dock.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. I expect that this is an inevitability, and I expect it to be this year because we're venturing into the third year of the Nintendo Switch's lifespan. And how long did it take
So weird to
before
think.
we had an updated 3DS. I think it was probably around the 2 or 3 year mark.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I still have my 3DS XL. It's very, very nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like mine.
I got the new 3DS. Or
I have had all the original 3DS, which now, looking back, I kind of like the size of that original 3DS. And I like the clamshell form factor has stuck with them and worked well with them, since
Game & Watch.
Yeah, good point.
Since Game & Watch.
I wish that they had kind of been able to stick with that throughout, because to me, it's smart design for a portable design system.
Yeah, you don't scratch your screen up, and it looks sexy. It makes you want to open it up.
Yep.
and get to
Unless you have dumb stickers on it.
Scandalous.
get to the oyster's pearl inside.
So that brings us to the end of the
Nintendogs.
podcast.
What?
I know, right?
Yes, we've reached the end.
Is this where we start asking about or we leave the stage for a second and wait for everyone to start cheering us to come back on for the encore?
No.
No?
No one's cheering. There's no encore.
It's the go encore.
If Dan wasn't.
I'm not going to bother with that. So, anyone have any rants?
Tyler does.
Well, my friends don't like it when I start talking about Game of Thrones.
So anyways, Dan, do you have a rant?
And every time I bring up anything, I just get glares.
I mean, it's
Was
better
that
than
it?
it's better than people not looking at you, right?
I'd actually take being ignored over being glared at.
You got it.
Cool.
I changed my
Are
mind.
you done?
Did you actually want to go on with that rant, or was that all you were going to
Did
say?
you?
Did
you have more? Was there more?
You guys
Do you have
suck.
anything more to?
You guys are the
Yeah,
worst.
do you have-
This is okay.
You have more?
No, I got nothing.
Okay.
It's okay. We'll edit this out later.
Though Tetris 99 is a lot of fun. I'm going to go on a happy
Little rave.
rave. Tetris. I played a lot. Gonna go give me some jelly bracelets. But yeah, no, I love Tetris 99. I played that a whole bunch today. I forgot how bad I was at Tetris, but then I started getting back into it because it's been a long time since I played Tetris. But
Yeah.
It's like riding a bike made of Russians.
it was something I never would have. Bless you.
Shut up.
Holy crap!
Anyway.
I like that. I like that sneeze of disdain toward Tyler.
Did you sneeze or discombobulate yourself? Huh?
Yes.
Anyway,
Whew, I went to the
Oh,
Chevy
it's the
Chase
light off
School
of
of
that.
Sneezing.
You had your hand up like this, and it. Never mind.
Glinted.
but yeah, Tetris 99 was something I never asked for, never thought I would want, but I am very happy.
Yeah,
that
I
it
mean,
exists.
and
99
them
was a
dropping
great
it
year,
for free
so-
like that was super rad.
It gave me 5 hours of fun this morning.
I love it when game companies
Jesus.
are like, "We're announcing this thing today, and you can download it in an hour."
Here you go, guys.
That is cool when that happens.
Here you go. Play this while we make something better.
Like what Bethesda did with Fallout Shelter. They're like, "Hey, look at this game that we made for mobile, and after this conference, you'll be able to download it."
It's actually a good product, unlike most of the other things we've been making.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll play Fallout Shelter more. I played
Oh,
Fallout Shelter more
shit.
than I played Fallout 4.
We didn't talk about the dastardly deed that Bethesda did. This
What'd they
week.
do?
They laid off a bunch of workers.
Oh.
So
They're assholes.
that is, was that Bethesda? That wasn't
I'm sorry,
Bethesda.
Blizzard.
That was
Blizzard.
Activision.
Blizzard.
Activision. Yeah, my bad. Not Bethesda.
Activision
Yeah.
Blizzard.
I take that back. I'm sorry, Bethesda.
Bethesda, you still suck, but you
Bethesda
didn't do
still
that.
fucking sucks.
But
and their business practices are ZeniMax's business practices are questionable at
but
best.
Activision / Blizzard just reported their most successful revenue year ever,
And then laid
celebrated by laying off 600 people.
Yeah.
After giving their CFO a $15 million little slip in the pocket bonus.
They did that, and then I was reading about the business practices of how they hire a bunch of temps that are trying to work to the next level. They're trying to grind to the next level, and then some of them make it, and some of them don't. And so they essentially fired everyone so they could rehire them as temps again.
Yep.
For
yeah,
less pay.
well, that's what they do. No, I've
Unionize.
I've heard stories about people in the game design department being invited to a release party at the office, and when they show up, nobody's there, and all of their supplies are packed, and it's them being fired. While all of the
gross.
producers and programmers are out fucking partying their ritzy champagnes and their ill-gotten gains. But real quick though, the only rant I had is if you've watched the Nintendo conference that we just talked about. I'm a huge supporter of Fire Emblem. I ranted about it on the very first episode. It's officially gone into anime school dating sim territory, and I'm pretty butt blasted about it. I'm angry.
Notice me, senpai.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit's lame.
I still really want to play the game. I'm still going to buy it. I probably shouldn't, because that's just going to say that's what they want more of.
Shit's
But
gonna be fire.
unfortunately, I don't get any other games that fill that gap. So I'm going to have to gloss over a lot of dating your students and having noblemen fight in the battlefield in their fancy dress clothes instead of, in armor.
Cool armor.
Or something. The thing that protects you from being stabbed to death on the battlefield.
You could just play Valkyria Chronicles.
It's the power
not
of
the same thing,
friendship
man.
that protects them.
Just buy it on Craigslist. When
It's
someone
never the
inevitably
same
wants to get
thing.
rid of it.
I'm mad about it. If you play Fire Emblem exclusively because you got into it through like Awakening, I hope that you enjoy the gameplay, but if you got into it just because you can ship your favorite characters in the game and you don't really enjoy the gameplay and you play on casual mode, I don't like you. I really don't, because
Frickin' casuals.
it's because of
Bet you
that.
drink Diet Mountain Dew too.
It's because of that raving over those specific aspects of the game that are diminishing the part of it that I enjoy. And unfortunately, I'm not going to go online and tell you all to eat shit, because that would make me a hypocrite. But because this is a phrase on the podcast specifically for ranting, I don't like you. Goodbye.
We should make like an Uncle Sam once you kind of poster, but it's Dan pointing and just Dan hates
no,
you.
it's Dan flipping the
Dan
bird.
hates you.
Yeah. I have a little rant. Buying a house is fucking hard. And heartbreaking and anxiety-inducing. And I can't remember if this was my rant last week.
It was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's still fresh in...
Here's to comes the remix.
It is.
Yeah, I didn't hear this rant because I was temporally displaced
No, you were
to
here.
another dimension.
He was in the
And,
ether of.
I was replaced by my alter ego.
You were here. I mean, you look exactly the same.
That's what you think.
You look exactly the same if that wasn't you.
It's but a
But yeah.
construct from his mind palace.
Never buy a house. It sucks.
No, that's... Well,
I'd hope to just inherit one and just have to fill out paperwork. So
in most things where the journey is what matters, not the destination, it's the very opposite with the
Yeah.
with the
But-
buying a house. The destination is what matters.
when it comes
And
to it being the journey and not the destination, there's just one thing that you have to hold on to, and you just don't stop believing. And that's my rant. I'm out. Woo!
All right. All that said, this podcast has been brought to you by Humble Bundle.
What are you doing?
Go to toplessrobot.com/humble. And Ripped Apparel. You'll find our affiliate link in the description of our YouTube page and on your podcast player. We do have a phone number, but we have no voicemails, so give us a call at 805-222-6287. That's 805-222-6287.
I would like to remind all of you that there is still a standing $50 wager that if you can actually say something mean enough on the voicemail that makes me cry, I will PayPal you $50.
$60?
$75?
Whoa,
$100.
$12,000?
None of you can make me cry, but
5
please
million
try.
V-Bucks.
$12?
Thank you, everyone, so much for watching and or listening. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Luke, it says I'm locked out of my account again.
Hey everybody! Once again, I started talking at length about Hamilton, so Dan decided he was going to put me in the shame box. If you want to see all of our fun talks about musicals and everything like that, probably don't watch. But, still subscribe.
This is what you get when you sing.